Thank you so much, Chef. Always great to see you back here at the KitchenAid Cooking Theater. And again, we have a new chef making their way to the KitchenAid Cooking Theater. Please welcome, he's a chef, educator, and cookbook author. He's the director of Cooper's Hawk Food and Beverage Operations. And did you know Cooper's Hawk in the Midwest is one of the only winery and restaurant under one roof, which helped them win the Hot Concept Award from Nation's Restaurant News. So please welcome Chef Matt McMillin.
Pleasure to be here. We always got to start out with a little wine, so this is our decanter. Really excited to be here. Thank you for showing up for this. We're going to do some of my favorite things that we do at the restaurant. So a little bit of food, but also cocktails. Now, many of you don't know, but chefs also make great mixologists because we're always about balance, okay? So I'm going to share 4 cocktails with you as soon as I'm done with this that we put on our menu last year that all of these cocktails have some sort of our wine influence in them. So one of our biggest selling appetizers is this great cheese platter. So we have some wonderful Parmesan cheese from Wisconsin. One of our partners, Sartori, that makes a spectacular Parmesan there. An Amish Blue. And this is Stracciatella. Has anybody ever had burrata before? Who likes burrata? Everyone. You should all raise your hand. Everyone loves burrata. So burrata is this wonderful mozzarella cheese that when they make fresh mozzarella, they add more cream to it, a little bit more seasoning, and they make it super rich. It's almost like cottage cheese, but way more rich and way more delicious. And it's the inside of the burrata. So that's what we have here. A little bit of our fig jam. And what I'm going to demonstrate for you today is something that you should go home and make tomorrow morning, which is our candied bacon. Very, very easy, very simple, but super wicked delicious. Whether it's for brunch or you put it on a sandwich or just for a platter like this for friends with some great wine and cheese. So we've got a couple of cups of brown sugar. It can be regular or dark brown. A couple of teaspoons of fresh cracked black pepper. I always like fresh cracked, a little bit better flavor. And about 8 teaspoons of chili powder. And then you're going to mix that up. I like hands. We use our hands. So mix that up and then put it into kind of a shallow pan. And as you see here, I have some pretty thick cut bacon. This is 7 to 9 count thick cut Applewood smoked bacon. Newski's is a great brand if you can find that at the store. So basically you're just gonna kind of loosely put that in a pan, and piece by piece, you just kind of pat that down. You want to make sure that it's covered everywhere. And you should invest in some of these sheet pans that have racks in them. They're great for whether you're roasting a chicken. You never want to cook something in the oven when the meat is directly on the metal surface because it overcooks. The thin metal gets very hot and it conducts heat very, very quickly. What this allows it to do is get a little air moving through there on the bottom, okay? So I just do a couple of those. But basically that's what you do. Fill that up, 350 in the oven. If you have a convection oven, great. If you don't, not the end of the world. You just cook it a little bit longer. And basically what you get is this beautiful mahogany colored bacon. And you can make it ahead of time. You can warm it in the oven. If you make it a day ahead of time, you can do that. You can warm it back in the oven the next day. Whatever works. It's very versatile. I'd like to just put it in a airtight container. It's wonderful. Who likes heirloom tomatoes? Anybody like tomatoes? Like bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich? You make this, you will have the greatest bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich known to man. So we take a couple of these and we just kind of cut them in half, and we stack these on our cheese platter that we do at the restaurant. So this is a wonderful appetizer that we have at the restaurant. It's great with wine. It's great to share. We do just a little bit of olive oil and polenta bread that we grill on our broiler, and then the different cheeses. And it's great if you take just a piece of the bread, a little bit of cheese, you got a little bit of sweet here, maybe a little blue cheese if you like a little bit more salty, and then a piece of that bacon, and then a little honeycomb because it's really nice and sweet, and it's a wonderful appetizer. So very simple. That's our the candied bacon. Next, we're going to get into the cocktails. Because I know that's why everybody came, for the cocktails. So, I'm going to leave this up here in case anybody wants to come later and munch. So the first cocktail we're going to do is a Brazilian drink called a caipirinha. And a caipirinha typically has cachaça, and cachaça is similar to a rum. It's a spirit that is made from pure cane juice. Again, similar to rum from Brazil. It's the #1 drink in Brazil. So we're going to start out with, I'm going to grab a little muddler here. I brought a couple products from one of our favorite vendors, Fortessa. They have these beautiful sets that are available. They're actually here at the show, but they make these beautiful black walnut muddlers and some great cocktail sets that you can buy. So we're going to start out with 3 blackberries, a half wheel of orange, lime, and lemon. And we're going to do 1.5 ounces of the cachaça. And as I said, we wanted to focus on drinks last year that had some more of our wine. So we're going to use, in this one, we're going to use our Cabernet Sauvignon. So we're going to do another shot of the Cab. And then we want to muddle this together to get that blackberry working. We want to get that blackberry working really nicely. Into that wine. And then we're going to add some fresh squeezed lime juice. Now, I want to talk a little bit about citrus juices when you're doing anything with cooking, or especially with cocktails. You want to fresh squeeze juices right before you're going to use them. If you buy juices, those juices that you bought are never as good as if you just take a piece of citrus and just squeeze it and use it right into a drink. That's why, whenever you go into a great restaurant, a great cocktail restaurant, anywhere in Chicago or New York or LA or anywhere in the world for that matter, you're going to see citrus juices that are in little squeeze bottles like this, or they're going to be in bottles like this. They're not going to be in store-bought sort of containers. So we're going to do half a shot or 3/4 of an ounce of fresh squeezed lime juice. Again, the Brazilian drinks, very prevalent with citrus. And a little bit of simple syrup. So half a shot of simple syrup. And then we're just going to add enough ice to this glass to fill it up. And this is not the sort of drink where we have to shake it or anything. It basically just kind of goes back and forth in the glass once. Got some beautiful ice cubes here. And as you can see, it's got some really nice fruit to it. We'll do a little prism stick with just one of our fresh blackberries. So that's our blackberry Cabernet Caipirinha. Okay? Next, we're going to do a take on a sour. So this is what we call our Bin 61 sour. So Bin 61 is the bin number for our nightjar wine. And our nightjar wine it's a port style wine. We actually used to call it port, but we got in trouble, so we had to give it a real name, or a name that was indicative of a wine for Cooper's Hawk. So we called it nightjar. And a nightjar is actually a bird that will fly around in Portugal. So made sense for us. So we're going to start here with, in this one we are going to shake. So this one we're going to start out with 1 shot of Woodford Reserve. And notice when I'm making drinks, I start with the liquors and not ice. Okay? So any good bartender is going to tell you, so when you're mixing any drink, you're going to start with the liquors and not the ice, because if the ice is in here, what's going to happen is it's going to immediately start to melt and water down the drink, and we don't want to do that. So next, just have some small amounts of, we have a tablespoon of simple syrup, a tablespoon of fresh squeezed lemon juice. Again, so when we use simple syrup, we will typically use the same amount of another citrus, and that balances out the drink really well. This one also has a little bit of orange juice, hence the sour. It's kind of sweet and sour. Again, fresh squeezed orange juice. We're going to add a little bit of ice to this. Again, this one we are going to shake. We're going to add some ice to our glass. And then this one just gets a little float of our nightjar. Again, just a really beautiful little drink. And that port, again, it's a fortified wine, so it's pretty strong. And then we're just going to give a nice little orange peel. And again, whenever we use citrus, we want to make sure that we're getting those essential oils out. So what we like to do is go over it, give it a nice squeeze. I don't think it has enough nightjar. I think it needs a little bit more. Okay. Okay. Again, a nice, beautiful cocktail getting ready for the summer. And the next two drinks that I want to do are drinks that use our sangrias. So we did a whole section of these sangria. We have sangria that we make at Cooper's Hawk. Again, at the end, I'll tell you a little bit more about our concept, but we actually make all of our wines, and we make our sangria. So our sangria, the first one I'm going to do is a gin citrus. So it highlights our white sangria, and we have some hints of green apple puree, red apple, but also tangerine. So not just regular orange, but tangerine. And that tangerine gives a really nice complement to the cocktail and to the wine. So this one we're gonna build it right in the glass. So for this one we start out with what we call our sangria base. It's kind of a secret little concoction, but what we do with our sangria base is we take fruits and we chop them up very, very small to let all that citrus juice come out. And we add a little bit of sugar and a little bit of citrus, so some orange, lemon, and lime. And then we let that sit overnight. And then we strain it in the morning. And we only make enough for the day, okay? So we start out with just a tablespoon of that beautiful liquid. In that goes. And then my favorite gin. This is a newer gin. This is Botanist. So a half a shot or 3/4 of an ounce of Botanist gin. We'll finish with a little bit of club soda at the end. Oops. Can I have somebody open that for me, please? Thank you. Forgot to take my top. Oh, that was awesome. Thank you. I didn't know it was a twist top. Life's most embarrassing moments. Nice job, Lori. Thank you. We're going to do 2 shots or 3 ounces of our white sangria. This is one of my absolute favorite drinks. And then just a little hint of club soda. And then this was kind of herbal. So if you see, again, some of the nicer bars, we're using more herbs and things. So you can rub it, just slap it, and that is going to release those essential oils. And there is our gin citrus, okay? And then the last one we're going to do is, it's a little bit more of a traditional style sangria. So typically, let's just talk about a red sangria. You'll have a red wine, you will have sugar, you'll have some fruit juices, maybe apples, maybe peaches, depending on what you're doing and what time of the year it is. And then typically a fortified wine. So I love Grand Marnier, I love Cointreau, I love cognac, port. Port is a great complement, typically about 1/4 cup of a fortified wine to a bottle of any wine. So for this one, we're going to start out, again, a little bit of ice. I hope nobody's offended. I'm using my hands, so nobody's drinking these. Okay. So again, we're going to start out with that sangria base that I talked about. So again, just a tablespoon of that sangria base. 3/4 of an ounce or a half a shot of our nightjar. This has a very unique garnish too. It's one of my favorites. We're going to do about a tablespoon or about a float, again, of Remy Martin, a little bit of cognac, and then a little dash of bitters. Just one dash, not too much. And then our red sangria. We're going to do 3 ounces or 2 shots of the red sangria. Okay. And then the garnish on this one, I love. It's like a burnt orange wheel. So we take oranges, we cut them very thin, and we dip them in sugar, and we cook them very slowly in the oven until they caramelize. And they just get this really beautiful sort of smoky, caramely flavor. Okay? Maybe we'll do 2 in this one. So somebody might get lucky with this one. Okay? So those are our 4 cocktails. I forgot one thing on that one. I can't believe I did that. So Saint Germain, it's an elderflower. Say that again? Love that. I love this stuff. It's so good, but it's very strong. So literally, it's just a teaspoon of this over the top, okay? Because it's pretty sweet, but it has this sort of intoxicating floral aroma that's just wonderful with gin and citrus, okay? So those are our 4 cocktails, okay? Thank you very much. Next, I want to talk a little bit. Any questions on anything we did here? You want a sample? God bless. I don't know if it's legal here, but hey, it's Chicago, right? So knock yourself up. Whatever you want to do. I won't tell anybody. Yeah, I know. When we do demos like this, we feed everybody. We just couldn't do it here for some reason, so I'm not going to throw anybody on the bus, but you all would have had cocktails. But come to the restaurant. Come see us, okay? I want to talk a little bit about our concept in general. Go crazy. What do you want? Which one do you want? That one? Okay. God bless. Here. Let me throw another little lemon in there for you. Beautiful. Can you? Yeah, absolutely. I love people like this. God, come on. This is interactive. This is the interactive part of the show. Okay. All right. You may.
Thank you very much.
I am going to get in so much trouble. Okay. Sorry about this. Okay. I think they just cut me off. No, they didn't. Okay. So, do we have any wine club members here by chance? Oh, of course. Okay, so you get all the bacon you want. You want another cocktail? Okay, no problem. So we are a winery and restaurant. We are from Chicago. We have 30 restaurants currently. We have a few more in the process. But we're a scratch kitchen-based restaurant. We focus on steak, seafood, a lot of great sandwiches for lunch, and a lot of lunch items. We also have a wine club. And we make our own wine, okay? I know that sounds a little crazy in the Midwest for those of you that don't know us. But we're about a 12-plus-year-old concept. And again, started on the southwest side of Chicago in Orland Park. That was our original restaurant. And Tim McHenry, our founder, had the idea that why can't food and wine live in the same place in Chicago or in the Midwest? And I think when you have that idea, when he had that idea, there was nothing in his mind that said that couldn't be done. And we've done that. And our wines continue to get better and better and better. Our food continues to get better and better and better. And what we offer and the value that we give back to our wine club members keeps getting better as well. So, I want to talk a little bit about some of the cool dinners that we do. We started some years ago, actually, Rick Bayless, who was up here earlier. I need a little bit of water. Rick Bayless was one of our first Friends of Cooper's Hawk collaborators. So some 8 years ago, he came and did a dinner with us, and we invite our wine club members. So Rick gets up, kind of does what he did here, what I'm doing here, does a couple demonstrations. We give access to people like you in the audience that typically might not have access to some of these really awesome people. And I'll tell you, we have some phenomenal relationships, and I'm going to talk about some of them here. This one, for instance, so we used to just do dinners, And now we're doing wine collaborations. So many of you may not know, but Tyler Florence actually, from the Food Network, makes wine. So last year we did a phenomenal dinner. It was at an off-site event space on the north side of Chicago. And we created with our wine team and his wine team this Pinot Noir Rosé. It is spectacular. He coined it brosé because all men need to be drinking rosé. So we've got a bottle of brosé here. The next wine, and then in, what month is it? We have another event with him coming up in, I think in September, and we're doing a Sauvignon Blanc with him. So we'll continue to do great events like this. Fabio Viviani, who's going to be here tomorrow, we've done 7 or 8 events with him. Wonderful chef and wonderful friend. We have another wine here. Jean-Charles Boisset, who owns Buena Vista Winery in Raymond in California and a ton of wineries in France. We've done a couple collaborations with him. And actually, as we speak, our founder, Tim McHenry, is on his way to California to meet with Francis Ford Coppola and have lunch and dinner with him on Monday, because in 2 weeks, we're actually doing a dinner event with them here at our Arlington Heights location. And we've done a phenomenal wine collaboration with Francis Ford Coppola as well. So we're really excited about some of these really cool relationships that we've been able to procure over the years. And so that's a little bit about Cooper's Hawk. I'm here to answer any questions that you have. Anything you can throw at me, I'm here for you. So let me know. Open it up. Yes, sir.
So with the wine, does it operate like a virtual winery? How is that?
It's a great question. So the question was, our wine, does it operate like a virtual winery? How do the relationships work? So as we got started, we used to just go, again, because we were one restaurant, then 2 restaurants, we would go and work directly with growers in California, Oregon, Washington. Mainly California is where most of ours come from. But as we've grown, we can actually work directly with farmers. They're growing product directly for us now. And we are in the process of looking for some, no news yet, but we're actually looking for some property out in California right now. But that brings me to, there's a story. And one of the really cool things I think about the relationship with Francis Ford Coppola and why it was such a great fit is we're really good storytellers. Francis is a phenomenal storyteller, obviously. So I brought some of the wines here that have some really cool stories. And this one was one of so as a wine club member, every month we create a wine just for you. It's specific to only the wine club members. So this one was a couple months ago, and it's called Old Vine Zin. Okay, did you have this one? Good stuff. So typically, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, vines will start to die off. Some of the reds, though, they just kind of like, guys, we just get better with age. We may lose a little hair, we may get a little gray, but we get a little better with age. Well, Zinfandel vines, they get phenomenal when they get 70 years, 80 years, 90 years. The problem is they don't produce a lot of fruit. But the fruit that they do produce is absolutely spectacular. So what we did was we found a grower with 100-year-old vines that we use for this wine of the month. And it is truly spectacular. If you have a chance, get to Cooper's Hawk. We still have a little bit of this. Fabulous, fabulous wine. One of the other ones that I want to talk about again with story, we truly have been humbled this past year. Our Cooper's Hawk our Lux line is our higher end lines. Again, still not wicked expensive. I think these are in the 40s. But this is our Lux Pinot Noir. And about 2 years ago, we won an award at this San Diego International Wine Festival. And it's one of the big European wine festivals in the country. And this wine in particular, and it's on the label, won a 99 out of 100. It won Best in Show. When a European, at a European contest like that, when they take the bag off, and it's a wine that is procured and juiced in the Midwest. That really started to turn some heads. Now, where the story gets a little bit better is we were chosen by the Screen Actors Guild Award. If anybody saw the SAG Awards a couple weeks ago, everybody was drinking our Lux Pinot and our Lux Chardonnay on the tables for dinner. So we over the next 3 years, or 2 more years, we'll be pouring our wines at the SAG Awards. And then at the Oscars, actually, they asked us to give our Lux wines to all the presenters and all of the nominees, which is really, really cool for us. So years ago, Tim was actually invited when President Obama, for the first term, was getting sworn in. We were invited actually to come to Washington, D.C. at one of the dinner galas, and Tim was pouring our Méthode Champenoise sparkling wine for the dinner, which is another really cool feather in our hat. So that was a long answer to your question. So what else? Yes? Yeah, oh, it's coming out right now. Yes? It's unbelievable. I didn't bring it. I don't know if it's out. Where's Aaron? Aaron. So Aaron Kenny, who's with me from the marketing team, she was asking about Barrel Reserve. And like last year, they were able to taste it ahead of time before pre-ordering. Are we doing that this year? What's the deal? The dinner. Yeah, oh my God, I forgot about the dinner. The dinner's not tonight. The dinner is it this Tuesday? Okay, so this is a really special dinner. So on top of those dinners that I was talking about, and I'll finish up with your question. Every month, in all the restaurants on the same Tuesday of every month, we do another wine club dinner. Again, it's in all of our wine club members are invited, and they're typically about $65. Everything's included. It's the best deal in the world. And we created a wine club dinner around the Barrel Reserve. So for our entree, which is a beautiful braised short rib, you're actually going to get to taste 2018, 17, and 16 side by side. And that night, if you want, then you can say, okay, I'm in. Give me some more. So all the restaurants on the same night are going to do that. And it is going to be a great menu. So. No, not restaurant. Not yet. At some point, I'm sure we'll be there, but yeah. Anybody else? Anybody else? No? Bueller? Yeah. So I've been in this business for a really long time, and you know what? I was going to come out here and say, and start, and I messed up. I was going to say, I want to convince you that I have the greatest job in the world, and I was going to let you guys decide by the end of my talk here. So. But I was setting up so quickly I forgot to say that. But I heard somebody speak when I was graduating. I went to Kendall College here when it was still in Evanston, and the gentleman that spoke at our commencement said, "You know you love what you do when you're jealous of the time that sleep takes away from you," and that is a pretty powerful statement. So last night, as I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was like thinking about all this stuff, and being here and setting up, and I started thinking about that again today. And a lot of people go to work every day, and it's a grind. And Aaron can attest to this. We have one of the most amazing companies in the world, and one of the most amazing cultures in the world. And I think you're going to start to hear more and more about not only Cooper's Hawk, but about Tim McHenry. Tim had a vision for this company when he was very, very young. And he started this company literally knocking on doors to raise money when he was 27 years old. And he opened up the first restaurant when he was 29 in Orland. And so he's just a little over 40 now. And we have one of the most amazing groups of restaurateurs that I've ever worked with. I used to be a partner at Let Us Entertain You here in Chicago for 15 years. had an amazing career there, went on to have my own company, and then joined Cooper's Hawk about 8 years ago. And I will tell you, I do have the best job in the world. I didn't even get to start to scratch the surface about all the other things that we do. You know, we also, I and my counterpart, we just hired a master sommelier, Emily Wines, this past year. So she and I do a lot of collaborating, a lot of work together. But we do these international wine club trips. So I've done 3 now. In June, it's my 4th trip. I'm taking a group of 35 people all over Spain. And we basically, we touch down and we start eating and drinking. We try to get as many workouts in as we can, but it's hard because we do a lot of power drinking and power eating. But we go to different restaurants and we get into wineries that just most people wouldn't be able to go to. You know, does anybody ever hear of Penfolds in Australia? So I took 25 people to Australia last year. We traveled all over Australia for like 17 days, 19 days. And one of the dinners that we had was in the cave underneath the winery at Penfolds. And they opened up a couple bottles of Grange, which is the most amazing Shiraz that you will ever have in your life. And when we were a couple of years old, we got a group of people together and says, okay, it's probably time to do a mission statement. You know, it's time to, we're growing now. We got to, really kind of tighten up the screws on this thing. And we came up with this value statement, which is we create community. And it really wouldn't matter what business that we were in, because the group of people that run our company and the people that we hire and the people that our PR company, and it doesn't matter who we do business with, we all share the same fabric of our DNA, which is we bring people together. And we just happen to do it through great cocktails and great wine and great food. And to come and speak to you all here is just kind of an extension of that. So that's who Cooper's Hawk is. Cool? Anybody else? What's a decanter? See, that's usually the first question I get. What's that thing up there, and how do we get one of those? So this is our wine decanter. This is kind of a funny story. We were selling so many of these, and we used so many of these, we actually bought the company. So anybody in the restaurant who orders a bottle of red wine will get a decanter come to the table. So basically what it is you've got ambient water in here, and as the wine cascades over this glass, which aerates because it's got a lot of surface area, and it tempers the wine to the exact temperature of what it is in the room, it gives a little bit more air, oxygenates it, and opens up the wine a little quicker than if it would just be sitting in a bottle. So, cheers. How were the cocktails? Who all had the cocktails? So good, right? Best one you ever had. Which one did you get? You got the night jars. So good. So good. Well, cheers. Again, thanks for spending a little time with me this afternoon. Really appreciate it. And
thank you so much, Matt McMillin, everyone. Again, your closest Cooper's
Hawk.
Hawk.
Delicious.
Make sure you